All right. The only reason I started a Smith of Katava was for Heat of the Forge, fire spell on hit. I thought it sounded lit. In reality, it is shit. It might be one of the worst ascendancy points in the game if we ignore every other one that's worse than it. And this really shouldn't be called fire spell on hit. It should be called charge a fire spell on hit because it is a meta skill. And I don't really like meta skills. Gain 3 energy per power on enemy when you hit with a melee attack. This is about as bad as you can get for an ascendancy point. Can't really get much worse. But this was why I selected this Smith of Katava. This other stuff was just nice little defensive layers. I only think this is good because everything else is shit. Shit, shit, shit. So the only thing left is this, but I also think this is shit. You could just get a really nice rare body armor, and if we had better options, you know, I wouldn't use this. But these options are all really, 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 really bad. And because these are all really, 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 really bad, I'm forced to use this guy. But Smith Katava, huge letdown. The only good stuff in the Smith Katava is this one little chieftain reel, and it was already on the chieftain, right? They did nothing new here. They just took what was already on the chieftain and they put it in here, and all the new stuff that they've done is actually pretty fucking lame in my opinion. But because I started a Smith of Katava, I figured I had to give it a shot, right? I had to try to make this work. So here is my kind of half-ass effort to make this worse. I am converting everything to fire. I'm grabbing only fire damage nodes, a little bit of attack speed, just to help out with, you know, getting the swing on. I needed that dex anyways. Getting some elemental, getting some fire, getting some meta skills. Every one of my jewels has 8% increased meta gained. I am around like 140% on the tree. I would anoint this bad boy, but it is going to require an isolation, which is like 100 exalts, and this is not going to work. So I'm not going to spend 100 exalts on something that just isn't going to work. And it's only going to give me 15% increased energy, right? And that's not that much increased energy, considering that my first spell here is 240% energy gained, 204% energy gained. We have fire spell on hit 201. We have cast on ignite at 198. So we got a lot of additional energy gain modifiers on here. And I am doing just a little bit of arc, a little bit of spark, some fireball, and a comet to try to actually get some damage out there. Now this is all being converted to fire because I am grabbing, you know, Avatar of Fire, and that is what I decided I would do to try to make this work. It's kind of dumb when they put a meta skill over here, but they don't at least add one meta cluster. They need to add a meta cluster over here to at least attempt to make this a thing. And to pair that, you know, double Mjölnirs, you can get 10 increased meta on each one of these bad boys. I went ahead and searched real hard for a meta skill helmet. This is 21% on the helmet. Puts about 140 between the tree and the gear, and then if you include the skills, it puts it into the 200 range. I do have quite a bit of meta, and when I fight a boss, mana is far more of a problem than anything else. But this build, it just does not work. I imagine that there's nobody out there who can make a Mjölnir build that actually works in Path of Exile 2. And for me, this is the biggest problem in Path of Exile 2 at the moment. Yeah, it's an early access. Go fuck yourself. I paid $30. I'm playing the game. They're releasing it in seasons. It does not feel like early access because they're not really treating it that much like early access. If it was early access, they would not have some skills that are doing 0 damage and other skills that are abusing mechanics doing 1 billion damage. They would nerf those skills, but people are so mad and they're so sensitive over their community that they're allowing people to ride chocobos and clear maps in seconds while other people are punching bosses for 45 minutes. Completely bifurcating the economy between the people playing the meta builds, getting currency, and actually maybe having a little bit of fun, except for they're going to get bored super quick because they clear maps like this and bosses like that, and I guess no big deal. And then the other people who can barely even sustain the exalts they use on their maps, and there's no real middle ground. For example, in Path of Exile 1, I built 3 very solid Mjölnir builds. I did one on a Trickster, doing some funky wonky shit. I did one on a Slayer, doing a stacker build with discharge, and then I did one on an Inquisitor, doing the ignore resistances, doing heavy crit, and you know, it was shit. 3 Mjölnir builds, all of them made it through all of the content. It wasn't that difficult to build, and in Path of Exile 2, it feels like 99% of the things you want to do in this game will not produce a viable end-game product. No matter what you do with it, you won't have in-game product. I would love for someone to grab a Mjölnir and prove me wrong. Make a build that uses Mjölnir and is either more powerful than a melee build of a similar variant, or just a self-caster, or has more, you know, quality of life. One of the good things about the Mjölnir builds in Path of Exile 1 is you pair that shit with Cyclone, and so you have the quality of life of Cyclone, then you have the range of spells, and you can just spin, and guess what? You win. Not really the case in Path of Exile 2. I had to buy a couple of items just to make this work. The mana regeneration was way too low, so I got 2 rings, each one for 20 exalts, just for this little experiment to have a high level of mana and a high level of mana regeneration rate that does assist in my mana, and those are the only real things I picked up. Also, these gloves were for accuracy rating and attack speed, because I really didn't feel like doing the guaranteed to hit, right? So I have an 88% chance to hit, which isn't 100%, but it's fine. It's fine, right? I didn't really want to spend the 3 points to get Resolute Technique. And I figured one of the only ways to make this work is to maybe somehow force crit into the mix. But ideally, if you're going to try to make this this Mjölnir build work, you're going to have to be like a monk and maybe stack into some crit somehow and use the monk's meta abilities. But even then, you'd be too squishy probably, and I just don't think there is a single viable build using Mjölnir. I'd love for someone to prove me wrong, but let's get into it. I'm not going to waste any good maps. I'm just going to run a white T14, and let's just go to this boss right here with a white T14. Now we have to run the bosses because that's where the build falls apart. When I'm playing this build, it'll kind of look like it works. You'll see me jumping around, throwing a lot of spells. It is pretty damn cool. It just doesn't work because they did not put enough power into the skill tree, and they did that so they can normalize all the damage. I'm going to get rid of this gray shit because, no, I'll keep it. It makes it a little harder to see. Now, Leap Slam is pretty good because of the aftershocks. It'll allow you to, you know, blast some spells around. I probably should have did Ball Lightning instead of Arc, so it'd be easier to see them popping. But you can look at the top left corner, and you can see my shit popping. When I'm hitting white guys, they're not good, right? No one likes white guys. It's not enough pump for the white guys. So you really only want to be hitting, you know, the gold guys. So whenever you see a white guy, just leave him alone. Just ignore him, right? You're not going to get any good meta. But when you see these gold guys, you can jump right on them, and then you're going to be casting all your shit, having a good time. Or getting stun locked to death. Getting stun locked to death. But as you can see, it's just not very good. I'm mostly running like a coward. Let's just turn this off, right? It's not good enough to do none of the league mechanics. And let's go punch this guy in the face. And let's cast spells on him. Oh, I accidentally killed him. Sorry. The vast majority of my damage is actually coming from direct punches in the face, not so much the spells. But we can take a look and kill these white boys, these blue boys, with a little bit of these, and we can take a look at how little... Ooh, that's nice. That's only the third one I found. Free loot in a video. Who would have thunk it? But you can see how little meta it's getting with all of my meta increases. Pay attention to that fire one. It's like 5 points a hit or some shit. And sometimes you get a chance for it not to refund because of my passive meta skill. Look at that. I can't even survive. I can't even survive. Insta-death. I mean, these are a hard mob type. But survivability, not on point. Damage, not on point. Now, because my mana is so amateur-ish for this type of thing, and it does run out pretty quickly, I probably ought to run a shield. But I'm trying to do some meme shit. You can't really run a shield and be meme-worthy. That's making this more of a legitimate build. And even so, it wouldn't work, right? This just isn't going to work. Because Path of Exile 2 is just not very well made in terms of basically everything but the combat. The combat is spectacular. The look and feel of the game, the way it operates, the mechanics of playing it is pretty good if you ignore like the way the enemies push you and the way you get stun locked and all that kind of stuff. But all that is easy fixes. Easy fixes, right? You can change the stun lock shit. You can change the way it feels when they push you around and they charge you and they run at you like this. All that can be really easily modified, and that's not that big of a deal. I'm not sure how easy it is to modify some of the other major problems, like the fact that there's like 5 broken builds that are in the meta, and if you're not running one of those 5 builds, you're literally doing like 1/100th of the damage. So either you're using a broken, busted mechanic to do insane damage that will probably be nerfed next league, or you're living the vision and spending 20 minutes on a boss and 20 minutes on maps. This mob type is too brutal, even though it's just a fucking white map. It's making it a little difficult to demonstrate just how bad this works on white mobs. Because on yellow mobs it works okay, and white mobs is terrible. So I'm having a hard time talking and playing at the same time here. Let's just punch some face and get frozen like crazy. I mean, there's no mods on this, and they're so aggressive. There we go. Getting some punching. You know what? I'm just gonna bounce to the boss. These guys are all just instantly killing me because of the mob types. My defenses should be pretty solid. I got full cap on resistances. But obviously, that's not enough. That's not enough. Whenever I play my other build, it works just fine. Probably because I'm getting some kills on or some shit. But, they're doing something to me that's making it really difficult for me to survive. So I'm just going to bounce on through here, casting my spells, doing very little and nothing, to go straight to the boss. Straight to the boss, and we will see this build fall flat on its ass. Flat on its ass. Oh, you mad? Well, stay mad, because we're going to be here for quite a while as this build shits the bed. You see the mana is gone. The mana is gone. So let's pop the mana spells. The mana's gone, but the damage is not present. So they really should have made the skills free from Mjölnir. That's just the first of many changes they should have made to this, because the mana cost is so damn high that you'd have to be like a mana stacker in order to even remotely get this thing popping off. And you're just not a mana stacker. See, this is only a T14. It's a white map. Didn't do nothing to it. We would be here for a very, very long time to kill this guy. We are a quarter of the way through, so let's just hope that he kills me before I can kill him. So that way, you know, I don't have to sit here with this meaningful combat of punching this guy in the... Thank God. Thank God. Now let's run a different map that maybe has a little bit less aggressive of a mob type, just to do a little bit more demonstration of how poorly this type of a setup works. Let's just buy another one of those bad boys, and let's waste it on... Let's waste it on... Let's waste it... No, that's another Vol. Let's get out of these Vol temples. These Vol temples are nasty. We got a desert hideout. There we go. Let's use it on the desert hideout. But yeah, I would be really curious if anyone can make a Mjölnir build viable at endgame. Meaning that it can kill a boss within a minute, And that's my definition of viable, right? You kill an end-game boss within a minute. And I just mean a map boss, right? I don't even mean the Arbiter or whatever that dude's name. The Arboretum. Just the regular in-game map boss. If you can kill that within like a minute, between 30 seconds and a minute, that's somewhat viable. I mean, obviously, the spear builds are doing it in 3 seconds. And there are some leap slam builds that are doing it really quickly using Perfect Strike, and there's a couple other things you can do as a mace build wielder. But even then, you're abusing a mechanic that's overpowered in the fact that you get really high levels from your mace. If you go single-handed, you can go +6 or +7 to levels from your mace, or you can dual wield, and you can go straight up to that plus fucking 12 to 14 skills, and then you're abusing it. But you can see I'm just doing no damage with these spells. Another Greater's Jewel Orbs. Holy cow. That's going to open up some build options there. And I really want to punch people, but it's getting... There we go. Now I can punch people. It's getting a little hairy. Getting a little hammy here. Good fun. I just leveled to 90, so these deaths are great. I just take whatever this guy's aura is. It's not friendly, so I'm just going to leap on his face till he dies. I really want to... There we go. This guy's all by himself. You can get a little clear picture on the single target, and it ain't great, right? There's nothing that your mom's going to be proud of you. When your mom comes to your computer and you close that window that you've been sneaking open, and she's like, "Are you winning, son?" You're going to just have to say no. And they'll say, "Well, who's winning?" And you'll say, I don't really know. People on chocobos are winning, right? People on chocobos are winning, but I am not winning. Now, a big problem with the way... Oh yeah, I forgot that was a hideout. A big problem with this build is that I think it is a terrible mistake. Terrible. Tremendous. Astronomically stupid mistake that they have tied mace skills to mace weapons, right? If we have these little skills that we got in the gems, we got these gems, we click it, and if I want to use any other skill, I can. And most of these mace skills are dog shit slow. And some of them hit multiple times. There's one that's kind of interesting, which is Armor Breaker, because you get 40% more attack speed while dual wielding, and it is kind of cool looking. So if we put that... I hate that when you are in your window, it puts it in there instead of in your inventory. I bought a second one just because it would be easier. So let's just put that on, and you can see it goes quite fast. We'll put that there, and we'll give it the little tempo from here. And you put that Armor Breaker right there. So that is kind of quick. It sounds cool, it looks cool, but the damage is shit, alright? And it's not that great. Let's just open... open another map. I mean, it's not strong enough to really do any in-game shit anyway, so let's just go to the Ergorot, and let's punch some faces with this bad boy, and we'll throw some fireballs, and we'll be kind of pretending to be cool. We won't be, but we'll be pretending. In fact, if you got enough attack speed, this would probably go faster than actual walking. This is the fastest attack speed skill you can get as a warrior, and it's just disappointing. I have arc on, and it's pretty difficult to see what's arc's hitting, or whose arc is hitting. But you can see that the arc isn't really killing anybody, right? These guys in the... Well, I guess the guys in the back did get hit by arc, and they did get murdered by arc. But cast on ignite is kind of hosed. I'm not really igniting a lot. But my comet is like not even regenerating. So let's we also have this 100% ignite here on the main strike. 100% more chance to ignite. Let's put that on the Armor Breaker, and let's punch a little bit more face just to do a little bit of a demo. Now, they did kind of set up the passive tree to allow for this kind of thing by putting this attack speed node, right? 8 dex attack speed, and then the spells right next to each other. So it kind of seems like they want you to do it, but it just doesn't work. Just underbaked, like everything. And actually, it's not even baked. They haven't even baked this game yet. What they've done is, like, they've assembled some ingredients and they put the ingredients on the table. But right now, we're mostly just eating raw eggs and flour. There's nothing really to eat in this game. And I like to eat. I'm a fat boy. I want to eat. And there's just not much to eat. So I got 23 on my cast on Ignite. And it's just bad. And I have invested pretty goddamn heavily into being meta. But I can't be meta with this. There's no options to be meta. I'm looking for a yellow. I'm looking for a yellow. And I don't think I'm gonna find a yellow. Very over leveled for this. And it just looks like I'm regularly doing the campaign. My damage levels are that of being in the campaign. That's another thing that's just like not tuned. There we go. We got a yellow. And that's what we got. That's what this build is working with. It's just not great. It's so disappointing. It is tremendously disappointing. Now imagine how cool it would be if it wasn't tremendously disappointing. If it wasn't like the most disappointing thing that you've ever seen in a video game. If it was actually good. Like, just imagine what it would be like in Path of Exile 1. A cast fire spell on hit. You throw that with Cyclone, you spin, you win, and you have a really good time. But you can't really have a really good time in Path of Exile 2 unless you're on a chicken, playing a build that is surely to be nerfed and surely to be, you know, kicked into the ground. That's kind of my rant. I had to save up a bunch of gold. I saved up 2 million gold, and it cost me... How do I get my gold? It cost me almost 1 million gold to spec out of my previous build, to do this, to test it out a little bit, and then I got to spec back out, and I'll probably be back down to like 300,000 gold, which is kind of disappointing, but I knew it was a huge waste of gold to give this a shot. I would pursue it more, but I am fairly confident that there's nothing in Path of Exile 2 that could make Mjölnir a viable build. So to throw the Mjölnir mace into the game, and then to not have an ability to make a viable Mjölnir build with the mace is like not tipping your prostitute.